Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sip and Smoke podcast. Myself and Billy. We're back at St. James's, and we are with a very special guest, Nick Hammond. Thank you so much for joining us. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for making the journey down here. As always, it's great to see you. How have you been?
Good, thank you, guys. It's nice to be with you. We've been banging on about this for a while, trying to set it up, and I've watched your videos with interest. You're doing a great job, and all is well from my perspective. Keeping busy, keeping out of mischief. Yeah, or getting in mischief, one or the other, which I'm quite good at. You know, if you read the books, like I always manage to end up in some scrape or other.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I kind of was refreshing my memory over the last few days.
Yeah.
And some of the stories in your books are absolutely hilarious.
People say to me, you must have made that up. Honestly, everything in there is absolutely
It's crazy. There's so many stories. I mean, like, especially the story when you went to the forest and then you had the issue with your appendix. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I often think back sometimes, and occasionally I'll pick the book up and have a flick through. Oh God, it's like somebody else's life. You know, there's such strange stories in there, and so many incredible places.
Quite the life you've lived, huh?
Yeah, well, I look back and think, I've done some crazy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was, as I say, reading through, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm unbelievably jealous of some of the things that you've managed to do, and obviously that you've seen throughout your life. Hopefully, obviously, a lot of the travel stories and stuff I'll be able to witness somewhat for myself throughout my entire life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well-travelled, well-versed.
Well, and some of it is also very unique because when I was thinking about writing it, I was thinking, what can I bring to the party that is new? You know, there's lots of cigar books out there and covering a range of things and doing a great job of describing cigars or talking about makers or history books or lovely coffee table books that are good to look at. What I really wanted to do was write a book. It wasn't just full of pictures. It was actually something that you would read and wanted to read. I thought, well, if I'm going to do that, it has to be something that hasn't been done before. And I just thought, well, what can I do that hasn't been done before? And then I just realised, actually, the things that I've done and the life that I've led is quite unusual. Right. And of course, when it's you don't really think it is. Yeah. But then I'd be down the pub with a few mates and they would bring up some topic and I'd go, oh, yeah, a few years ago I wrote about that. And I went to them. People would look at me, really? Yeah, I ended up swimming with great white sharks or something. And it sounds like a character off the Fast Show or something, just making up this rubbish. But actually I thought, no, that is unusual. And you have done some interesting things. And then when I started to write about it, I found that the easiest way to do that without sounding like you got a massive ego was to do it in quite a sort of funny way and then be self-deprecating, so that I am the butt of the joke most of the time, which, when you're in a family with kids, that's pretty much what you are. Dad's just there to be laughed at. So I'm quite comfortable in that role.
Right.
And I like humour, everything I do is always with humour because I think that just makes the world go round and makes life easier. And I do find so many things funny. And so, even the bad stuff that happens when it's horrible at the time, in hindsight, you can look back at it and think that is hilarious.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing. And I think the angle that you've taken when it comes to writing these books, like, as you mentioned a second ago, like a lot of the cigar-related reads out there are sort of coffee table, a lot of pictures, kind of flick through magazine style.
Yeah.
Yours is more, in my opinion, quite a travel log.
Yes.
That kind of comes back to your initial passion of cigar.
Yes, it was always sort of supposed to be, in my mind, it was sort of an English Bill Bryson.
Right.
With the cigars as the central thread that you always come back and it links the whole thing together, But really, you're right, it's a story about personal travels.
Yeah, it's a captivating read. To be perfectly honest, I'm not a massive reader. I'm not going to lie and say that I am. But reading through yours, it kind of does really drag you in and makes you feel like you're experiencing these same things.
Yeah.
Like this morning, as I say, your second book talking about Mexico and going through that treacherous storm and all of that stuff right at the beginning. It's like, if this is kind of the hook of the book, what's going to be the rest? And it's amazing to kind of read it from your own view of it. It's humorous, it's all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the idea being that you can pick it up and put it down. If you want to read a chapter before bed or something, you don't need to think about, now I need to remember what happened. Every chapter is a different story. So you can just pick it up, read it on a plane, fall asleep. It's easy. You know, it's easy reading, I suppose. But it's a real compliment to me that you say that, because people do say, I don't read much, or I haven't read a book since I was at school, but I loved yours. I mean, what a great thing to hear.
I think it's wonderful because I'm a very imaginative person. And so I can imagine everything that you're going through in my head. Exactly. And it's like I'm there with you. And just like Billy said, the way you write is very gripping. And it's just very entertaining. That sense of humor that comes through to you, as comes through the book as well. Yeah. And it's funny how you mentioned that with your humor. I think you mentioned in the book how you have a habit of laughing in bad moments. Almost like the Joker.
Yeah, it's really inappropriate, which makes it all the more funny, doesn't it? When you know you can't.
And I used being back in school,
exactly.
And you get sent to their head.
I used to get in terrible trouble, and they'd be standing there. What are you smiling at, boy? And then you could feel you, and like you feel sick because you don't want to do it. And I'd start giggling. You think this is funny? Sorry, I probably just blow you in. And I would just laugh and get myself in so much trouble because I get hysterical, you know.
Yeah, as I say, I think that kind of angle of how you write about it completely separates you from everything else.
Yes.
It kind of puts you in your own lane. No one seems to be doing anything similar. And as I say, it's a great read. And if any of you guys have read it or haven't read it, you should definitely pick up both of them because it's captivating for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're talking about Around the World in 80 Cigars, of course. But yes, and by being sort of true to me, going back to why I did it, if you say to yourself, what can I do? You know, what you have to do is your experience. You can't be anybody else. And when you try to be someone else, I think the audience very quickly spots it's fake. So if you're sort of true to yourself, then I think that comes across as well. And people realise, okay, he's telling his story. And the great thing is then no one else can do that, like you say. You know, people could try and write a book like mine, but it wouldn't be the same. And so there's not much point doing it. So that is, like, by luck, has now found me on this road where I have this vehicle to travel and meet people, smoke great cigars, and do strange and funny things, and then have an audience for that is a great feeling. And one thing I've always been good at is being very evocative with my writing so that it does feel like you're with me. And people have always told me that. And it's a great skill to, you know, it's just I'm lucky I can do it. But so if I write for magazines or something, and they tend to send me off, Nick, will you go to Shetland Islands, I did recently, to write about shellfish in Scotland for Country Life magazine. So I find myself on a mussel boat in the middle of bloody nowhere, right up in Shetland, and there's killer whales swimming around. I mean, that's just insane. But I can write that then. When I get back, I think about it, and I make a few notes. I don't make many notes, but a few notes. And then I sit down and I think, okay, and I almost like, without being too poncy, you know, it feels like sitting down at a piano.
Right.
And then I start to play, and I will come up with something, and because I'm living it again in my head, that's the way it sounds to you. So it feels to you like you're seeing it through my eyes. And that's just such a great thing because you pull everybody with you.
And it's, as you say, it's so easy to follow along with. And as you say, it drags you in and makes you feel like you're a part of it, makes you feel like you're experiencing it. It's funny because you say, as we've both mentioned, as we've all mentioned, it's very different. You're in your own lane. But to get there, did you have any inspiration? Did you have anything that you kind of looked at before and thought, okay, how can I take from that and, you know, put my own spin on it and create what you've created?
Yeah, well, it came about because of the reasons I've talked about, having looked back and thought, yeah, you've done some interesting things. Maybe that would be interesting. But being, you know, human, we always think, you know, that no one's going to want to read that. And when you start to do it, it's a massive leap of faith because, you know, you're sitting down at home, writing on a blank screen, something that you don't really know where it's going, and you've got no idea if it's any good or if anyone will ever read it. And then suddenly you end up with a book like that sitting on the side in the flesh. It's a magical thing. But in answer to your question, I really wanted it to be, I've always enjoyed reading. So as a kid, I read loads, still do. I loved sort of classical adventure type stories, Treasure Island and things like that, where, you know, they got in all sorts of escapades and there was danger and there was exotic places and so, yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And so, as I said, Bill Bryson I thought was great because he just went round doing things. He would go somewhere, like turn up here, and he would start writing about it and turn it into something that actually was quite interesting. Whereas on the face of it, he'd just gone to look round a place. And I thought, well, great skill. So that, because then you can do anything. I can go and get a pint of milk from the shop, and as long as I can write about it in a way that makes you interested, then you've got a story. And of course, then the whole world becomes your canvas, because as long as I can keep going and doing things that are not just boring and not very interesting, you have to have something interesting going on. But if you travel a lot, you do see amazing things, and you see, you know, incredible landscapes, and you meet really unusual people, and you end up doing things that are really interesting anyway. And then writing about it is really easy because it is so unusual. And then I throw in a few, you know, jokes at my expense, or I get myself in some sort of trouble, and suddenly there's a chapter there. And then you get to the end of the chapter and you think, okay, this is the way to end that. And oh no, the perfect thing to follow that would be something maybe completely different. But I'm not a great planner or a plotter, or I don't, you know, sit down and say, right, these are my 15 chapters, let's start them. I just write, and it starts to come together, and suddenly you think, oh, that chapter, once or twice I swap chapters around because there's some fit better, and you don't want to have two similar things together, so you break it up. But you also have to have a link that makes them want to turn the page to the next one. But basically, it just came together so effortlessly. And that's when you know you're doing something right, when it just works. Do you know what I mean? When you feel like, this is good.
Yeah. But it must have been quite a rewarding feeling. Because as you say, you've lived it, you've experienced it all. But then you've got the ability to take that, put it down on paper and make it an enjoyable read. It must feel so rewarding to kind of end up with the book that you've got, and the two books you've got. It's there in writing, people are enjoying it. You've sold however many copies across the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's enjoyed by everyone. It covers multiple cultures, all of that stuff. It's quite inclusive for everyone.
Yeah.
I also have to say, sorry to cut you off there, but I feel like the books that you've written can be read by anyone, not just cigar smokers. I think because you've been on all of those journeys, you know, you're describing where you are, the temperature, what you're eating, everything.
Yeah.
It kind of all links up, but then you talk about the cigar within that. I think anyone can read it.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is that it's not just a cigar heavy thing. You know, there's something in there for everyone. And so many people have said to me, I don't really, not that interested in cigars, but I loved your book. And so many people have said, I was laughing at your book, and in the end, my wife read it and she really enjoyed it. Doesn't care about cigars. And that's just such a great thing. And there's so many rewarding aspects to it that come back over and over again. Every time somebody stops you and says, I loved your book, it's fantastic. And the actual, you know, having it in front of you, getting it from the printer, I mean, what a feeling that something that came out of your brain is now in the world. And then I ship books to Australia and to Abu Dhabi, or I've sent a book to all sorts of odd places, and now it's on sale in Australia. Just to think, how crazy is that?
Walk into a store in Australia and you see your book.
Yeah.
And you're like, from a personal thing, if it was me, I'd be like, I'm just a young lad, or I'm a
nobody,
from
yeah.
a random place in the UK, and my book is now being sold.
Yeah.
Like, as you say, I think we spoke about it before, about like a cigar brand almost.
Yeah.
You get all the cigar brand people come over, and you think, you started with an idea and now your cigar's being sold literally everywhere.
It's an extraordinary thing.
Like Drew Estate, for example, they started with like a very small desk, didn't they? In the middle of this building, and now look at them.
Yeah, Jonathan used to sleep on the floor in the factory.
Exactly.
And now it's worth God knows how much.
It's crazy. I always wonder as well, we were talking about this earlier about memory, but how do you remember it all? I mean, were you writing on the journeys? Or did you
It's a good
kind
question.
of reminisce?
I don't have a particularly good memory for a lot of things. And my wife always says, for God's sake, you know, can you put an alarm in your phone to remind yourself? Because otherwise you would... I think I'm quite ADHD in like modern parlance. Back in the day, obviously we never knew about that stuff.
Yeah.
These days, I think they would say, yeah, you're definitely.
Right.
Because I'm very good at certain things and terrible at other things. So I have like my superpower, but I find other things really difficult that normal people don't even think about.
Yeah.
So in terms of the actual writing process, I find that, you know, like in life, if I go to a concert or a football match or something, I'm not one of those people who's sitting there taking pictures and videoing. A, because I'm not of that generation really, and but B, because I really believe in being in the moment.
Yeah.
That to me is what's important, is that memory.
Yeah.
And I think that's why why it comes out on the page, is because I remember every little detail.
Yeah.
In it, often quite obscure things. And I observe things that maybe most people don't see or notice.
I mean, a lot of people just hold their phones out and film everything these days.
And then you forget about it. It's not in your head. It's in your phone.
This is what I was going to say. I think, especially like our generation coming through, everyone's so fixed to their phone and having the memory there, but it's in a bank, right? You haven't seen it through your own eyes. And the first time I really took notice of that, like just living the moment, was I went to a concert. I went to Drake when I was around 16. And I can look back and I've got pretty much his entire show on my phone that I recorded. But now I'm sitting there thinking, I never look at that. I couldn't tell you how much I actually took in.
Yeah.
The person stood in front of me. You know what I mean? It was kind of everything on my phone, but I can't remember really any of it.
No.
It kind of takes away from the whole.
It does. And it becomes almost an ego thing.
Yeah.
Quick, let's get this out and show people where I am, rather than, why don't I just fucking enjoy it?
Yeah, exactly.
I've just spent 100 quid on a ticket to somebody I really love and I'm not actually investing in it. You know, soak it up, listen, watch.
I do find it funny. I got off the train yesterday, and as soon as I got off the train, I see people filming themselves around London everywhere. Obviously, you want memories, which is fine. It's just everywhere now, isn't it? It's crazy.
I think it's got really too much. And, you know, I've got two youngish daughters, 20 and 18. And, of course, they've grown up with that whole thing. And, you know, their lives are spent looking at a phone. It's not healthy.
No.
But in terms of the writing process, I tend to rather experience than let things get in the way. So yes, I will have a notebook and I do shorthand. And I might, if something really crops up and I think that's a great angle, I'll write that down so I don't forget it. But it'll only be a note here or there. Or if someone says something, I'll say, okay, I'll write that quote. That's a brilliant quote. But then generally I just experience. And at first a lot of people were like, you know, say, this guy turned up, he's a reporter, he's not made a single bloody note. And they think he's playing with us. When I wrote Cinco Decadas, the rise of the Nicaraguan cigar for Hoya de Nicaragua.
Great cigar, by the way.
Yeah.
Cigar.
And so it was their 50th anniversary, the oldest factory in Nicaragua. And they said to me, they approached me and said, look, you know, we wanted to bring out the cigar. There's going to be a series of things to celebrate who we are, what we do. We want to do a fantastic book. And they said, we'd like you to write it, which was amazing. So I spent a lot of time over there and they set up interviews with politicians and poets and as well as cigar people that had worked at the factory for 50 years. I travelled up and down the country. And there was like one of the girls in marketing that was with me, it was Fixer, sorting everything out. And she was with me the whole time. And I could tell by the end, you know, she was just looking at me, going, are you really going to be able to do this? And Juan Martinez, who is the owner of Hoya, is a great, great guy, one of my favourite people in the business. And he phoned me up and, you know, after I'd done a first chapter and sent it to him as a sample, and he just phoned up, he said, this girl came back and she said to me, he hasn't made a single note. He's not going to be able to do this. And he said, I was like, oh, shit. And he said, don't worry, you've cracked it.
Yeah.
Because you need to just get that essence. And when it comes back to you, if you've seen the right things and taken the right, it's not a science, it's very much an art. Yeah. So I don't make notes a lot. I don't write when I'm away generally. I like to come back and let it percolate for a while to see and then one day I'll think of a really good intro or I'll think of the hook for the story. And like, I was thinking about the second book, how do I kickstart that? And of course the opening chapter always has to be bang. you've got to drag people in, and then they want to stay. If it's boring to start with, they don't read the rest of the book. And that was just an obvious, no-brainer. Getting stuck in a hurricane on an island in Mexico.
That was as I say, I read it again this morning, and I was just like, this is insanity.
I just remember being in this little hut up in the jungle, and it was complete chaos. Everywhere was flooded. The palm trees were going like this. The noise was incredible. And I was in this little hut. They just left me. And it had a gauze window, so there was no glass. So the wind was blowing through. And I was thinking, shit, what do I do? The electricity had gone off. And they gave me a little tea light, one little tea light. So it was pitch black. And I'm thinking, shit, there could be snakes and spiders in here. And I just thought how my kids would absolutely have a fit. And sometimes in your life when you go through tough shit, you have to have a word with yourself and go, right, you just need to suck this up. You need to get through this. So I just lay on my bed, fully clothed, thinking any minute a tree's coming through the roof or something. If it does, I've got to be ready to go. But I did have some cigars and half a bottle of tequila.
The important stuff.
So I thought, self-medicate,
I probably would have done the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think a cool little life lesson, though, from that chapter, as you said, I think you mentioned how you laid there and you're thinking, well, in 8 hours' time, it's all going to blown over.
That's life, right?
You get up.
I will be all right.
Yeah.
But it's a life lesson. I think a lot of people worry about the moment.
Yes.
And they can't see past it. It's like, this is happening right
now.
now.
No, but what if?
Yeah.
I always think about this as well. And I always think when I worry about something, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to get in my own bed. I'm going to be comfortable. I'm going to have a good sleep.
Yeah, it's not forever.
Yeah.
It's not forever. And what I say in the book is it's always better in the morning. Yeah. And that is true. And it doesn't matter how bad it is. If it's bereavement or whatever, everything is worse in the dark hours of the night when you're awake and worrying. And yet, when the sun comes up the next day, you think, okay, it's horrible, but it's not as bad as I think it is, And I have to, say that to myself because I'm just the same. I worry about things, and part of that ADHD brain thing is that I think so much about everything. I drive myself mad. So you do have to find a way to manage your own feelings and emotions. And like, for example, tomorrow I've got to go and have some horrible dentistry. And I've known about it for about 6 weeks. And I thought, well, what am I going to do?
The stress.
Horrible. I mean, I find it gets worse as you get older. I never used to mind the dentist, and now I really, really hate it. It's just a horrible experience.
Because your teeth rot over time.
Of course they do. And just the whole thing is just awful. Someone bloody digging around in your mouth.
Yeah.
So I thought, what do I do? Am I now going to sit here for 6 weeks and worry myself sick about this? And I thought, no, I'm just going to put it away. I'm not even going to think about it. So I have not given it a second thought apart from now. Now it's tomorrow morning.
Yeah. But I think I do the same sort of thing. If something's happening in a month's time, even if something's happening next week, like I think I said to you before, I had a flight or whatever, and Cammy again, go on the flight, and she's stressed about it from the minute.
Really?
But we know it's stress. And I sit there and think, I haven't even thought about it. It'll be the morning of the flight, and I will not think about it until I've got to leave.
What's the point?
Because, yeah, as you say, it's going to happen.
I know that it's hard to do, and I know that certain people do, and they can't just flick a switch. I understand that. But I do think you have to train yourself that what is the point of that energy, that massive amount of negative energy? You must be exhausted by the end of, it's such a waste of time.
Yeah, I agree.
I do envy you for that, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it's just, as you say, it's kind of, you get used to just shut it away, don't let it bother you. What will happen will happen.
And that has its negative connotations. Because I would do that. My wife would say, next week we're going to go for dinner or we're going out somewhere, put it in your diary. And I put it in the diary and it's gone.
Yeah.
And then she'll say, don't forget tomorrow. And I'll go, what are we doing? I told you last week we're going to... But I'm the same. I park it because I can't think about things too much. It drives me mad.
It's even like podcasts and stuff. We always talk about it. Like yesterday in the office, I was sitting there thinking not really anything of it. You know what I mean? I didn't look at notes or anything like that.
And then suddenly it's on you.
And then all of a sudden you wake up, I've got training now.
Yeah.
And now I'm sat here sort of doing
And
the
it
podcast.
works.
And it's like, I
mean, at the end of the day,
fine.
I find that some things, I wish I could be better about dealing with. Like if I book a flight and, you know, I've got to be here, there, and I just do it and don't worry about it. And then you get there, oh shit, that wasn't very clever. I probably should have made that a bit later. But that's the way that you learn how you work, don't you? And I mean, amazingly, for all the travelling I've done, terrible thing to say, it'll go wrong now. I've never turned up on the wrong day, which I'm very capable of doing. You know, I do lose things. I leave things lying around. I leave things on the roof of the car. I walk in the room and my phone will be right there. And then 2 seconds later, I'll turn around, right, and my phone, where is it? And it drives everybody mad.
But we're all human. I mean, we're
all different. Everybody works in a different way. You know, I know it can be frustrating for others, but everybody's got their little things, haven't they?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we have to be more accepting as people of individuality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what makes us great.
Yeah. I think that's a negative thing for social media. I think obviously we've spoken about it quite a lot over different things, but social media teaches everybody to be the same. Everybody wants that same luxurious lifestyle. And it's like, well, it's not
rubbish.
always...
It's rubbish.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that.
Yeah.
If you're there taking that picture, pretending to be a millionaire or whatever, you're probably worrying about something else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all false.
Mm-hmm.
We all have worries and fears, and we all break down sometimes, and we're not very good at some things, and we're better at others. Doesn't matter.
No.
We just got to be kind to each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, don't fall into that trap of, I must look like this, and I must have X, and I must have Y, and if I don't, I must pretend I have it. What's the point?
Yeah.
It's bollocks.
At that point, you're just lying to yourself as well. And then I'm not being
Then you're unhappy because you haven't got it.
Yeah, because then you're sitting there thinking, well, I've got all of this stuff, and I get home and I actually...
I haven't at all. It's a
then
lie.
You're living a lie.
And then you see these people who have beautiful wives, children, everything's perfect, and then afterwards you find out they're totally unhappy, they have a breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, that's life.
Yeah, it's insanity. I think we'll go back to your traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think something that I notice, and I think a lot of people across the cigar industry do, you kind of attach the cigar that you're enjoying to the moment that you're in.
Yeah.
I think I do that quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yourself, always take a photo if you're in the lounge, whether you're at the beach or whatever. Throughout your travels, you must have had some absolutely astonishing views, some dodgy situations, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I imagine you've had everything.
Yeah, and what is interesting in hindsight is that I've had some incredible cigar experiences in amazing places. And I've also had, or if things have been wrong timing, wrong mindset, I've also had what should have been great cigars that have been awful. Yeah. Similarly, I've had what we would term fairly average cigars that have been phenomenal because of where I am and who I'm with. And that is an aspect of cigars I think we forget about. You know, it's not just about the cigar. It is about the memory. It's about being in that moment and really feeling that. I feel when I smoke a good cigar and I'm having a great time, that sense of joy, it just adds a little something to the experience.
Yeah. I think I was speaking, we did an event a couple of months ago, I can't actually remember, probably last month. We had one with Aldo Poncioni.
Oh, yeah.
From JC Newman. Yeah. And again,
great
well-travelled, really cool guy. And we were sat there, and I think someone asked at the event about like a standout situation that, you know, he loved. And he was like, well, I'll tell you a story. I had the same cigar twice on the same day in 2 separate occasions. The first one, he took the cigar completely solace on his own at 7:30 in the morning. I can't remember where he said. I think it was either somewhere abroad or like the Lake District or whatever, but it was a big lake, mountains, everything, complete silence, just on his own. And he said, I sat there, dipped my feet in the water, and I've never felt more a part of the scenery and everything.
Really?
Enjoying that cigar, and it was the best cigar I've ever had. Yeah. He said he then went inside, sampled the same cigar, but it was in a hustle and bustle lounge, loads of noise and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just didn't feel the same.
Yeah.
It's astonishing how you don't necessarily think about that.
And that leads us on to an interesting angle in that cigar reviews, which I know you do.
Yeah, we do.
Guilty.
And I've always tried to steer away from it because I think it's a very difficult road to travel, because once you start, there's no end to it, and you have to offer an opinion on one cigar on that day at that time, none of which is very reflective of the cigar as a whole. Yeah. You know, you probably need to smoke a box of them in a variety of different situations. And also, I find when describing cigars, quite difficult because what I taste, what you taste, is totally personal. Now, we might agree that there's a bit coffee in there or something. But if you start going down the route of all these flavours that some of the print magazines put out there, there's no going back from that. No. And then the next cigar, you've got to find a new batch of crazy descriptives. Yeah. And I think whiskey's a bit like that. You know, there are lots of notes in whiskey, but some of the notes that you read on some of these, I mean, crazy custard, and I just don't believe that people get that shit. I think
you can just relate it to things that you've had before, and I think that's what a lot of people do. That I know that's what we do, and that's the way we explain it. I mean, we categorize it, whether it's sweet or earthy or spicy, and you can kind of break it down from there.
That's totally fair enough. But if you say it tastes like Ritz crackers or something.
So for that, the way we say, like at events, we get asked the question all the time, and obviously you probably spoke to many people that do cigar reviews and whatnot, but it's like you choose the characteristic, you can agree there's a sweetness, but then at that point, it's what that sweetness means to you, what you can relate it to in your own personal thing. So when we do reviews, we always say it's so subjective, as we all know. Yeah. We might be tasting, say, a vanilla for argument's sake, but then the sweetness that somebody else might be tasting is like a caramel.
Caramel, yeah.
So you can agree there's a sweetness. Yeah. Everything else that follows that is where it becomes subjective nature. It's very different because you say everything's different between three.
Yeah, and it's very difficult because I remember as a young cigar novice, you know, avidly reading this stuff and then expecting to taste it. And of course you don't, or you very rarely do. You might get something, but what you don't get is the same as somebody else most of the time. Yeah. So, you know, you would read Cigar Aficionado, 90-point cigar, notes of tea, blah, 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 and then you'd smoke it and you get nothing like that. Yeah. And I thought, well, how does this work? Because it says it should be sweet, or it says it should be spicy, coffee. I didn't get that. Yeah. So that really makes me think it's such a personal thing. Yes. And it depends on what you've eaten, your state of mind, as we've said, who you're with. Yeah. All of that stuff affects how you appreciate that cigar.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I struggle with is the disconnect from the review side of myself. I mean, if I'm out with friends and I'm with a cigar, they'll say like, what's the cigar like? I'll go into that review frame of mind and I'll start describing it, and I'm thinking, why am I like describing it so much? Like sometimes I think to myself, well, maybe I should just enjoy a cigar for the fact that I'm enjoying the cigar. Exactly. And stop looking at it in these thirds. Yeah. But, you know, we're
you project onto the cigar, don't you?
Exactly.
If you're not careful. And I think I'm the same. All I wanted to do is, like being at the concert, being at the football, whatever, I want to experience it. Yeah. And I don't want to be thinking that first third was a bit peppery. No, I just want to enjoy the bloody cigar. Yeah. And I love cigars so much that, you know, if I didn't do it for work, I would be doing it anyway. Yeah. And I think that stayed with me, and I still smoke cigars for enjoyment.
Yeah, I think I was quite similar to you with that. Like, as you say, when you first get into it and you start doing the reviews and stuff, you automatically think that that's what you meant to say. And as you say, you get asked the question, you're like, yeah, okay, this. Yeah. The likelihood is, if I gave the cigar to the person that I'm explaining it to, if he sampled it, the likelihood is you're going to
do you like it is more or less the only question.
Exactly.
And I find it difficult if you're in an event like we've had the last couple of weeks, opening of this or whatever, and you get a cigar and somebody says to you, or a manufacturer gives you a cigar, what do you think? It's really difficult because then you feel obliged to say, oh, it's a bit peppery, and you're searching. Yeah. And I kind of think, no, I really like it, or yeah, it's nice, but I don't like Connecticut Shade or whatever. But the problem there is you have to try and justify yourself. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if you had to blend a cigar, I think it'd be very difficult because trying to describe the flavours and why they work and how they work, crikey, that is a hell of a skill. That's a hell of a skill. People think it's easy. I mean, my God, they're geniuses.
Have you rolled your own? Have you done that?
Yeah.
I was going to say that's a steady quiz.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm not practical in the least. No. So, I mean, my wife does most of. If the light bulb needs replacing, my wife does it. I'm hopeless. If she lets me loose on anything, I break it. So I had to go, and it would look like terrible. Oh, right. So I even don't really like doing it because it's just not me. But sometimes you have to do it because I've set it all up for you. I did it at JC Newman, and in Tampa. Yeah. Which is fantastic. You should go and video there. Ybor City is unbelievable.
We heard a lot of further because Amy and Chris went there a couple of years.
Yeah, it is a cigar smoker's paradise, and very interesting place. So I did it there, and thankfully it was like 3 cigars or something, and I said, right, done. But no, I'm not. I would love to have a skill like that, but I'm really not practical in that sense at all.
I mean,
You
it
had
does
to go
take
with-
years to do it, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I think yours was really good. To
We
be fair.
both
Was
did.
it? Yeah.
I can't remember if you've shown me your one. You
I
brought it in,
took a
think.
picture, and I brought them in, and you can see little bits of leaf here and there that are sticking out and whatnot,
Yeah.
but I mean, I had help.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
if I did it all
I
myself...
suppose if we
it'd
all
be
did it
awful.
for a month every day,
You
you'd get
figure
pretty
it
good
out.
at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not where my interest lies.
No, and it's so much more difficult than it looks. As
Yeah.
well. Like I was astonished. I walked in, and rolling for you've probably done the same things, but you walk in and someone's put a bunch together in like 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Wrappers on. It's like, I'm
Those
sitting
those
there for like
people-
13 minutes, like trying to put everything together, asking questions. Is this in the right location?
Sweaty hands and
Yeah.
But where we went, it takes about 10 years to get to that point, which
Yeah.
is nuts considering you walk in, there's like 140 odd tables there, full of these people who have been there for 10 plus years.
yeah,
That's insane.
yeah.
That's mental. So
It
they're
is.
just so natural with it.
And that's just the manufacturing side. That's the
Yeah.
physicality of making a cigar.
Mhm.
That's nothing to do with the leaves that are in it
No.
and the blend and how that works.
Yeah, like the agricultural side of it's a whole different beast, isn't it? Then the blending, everything is just
Yeah,
It's insane.
It's so technical and so difficult and so open to going badly wrong at any moment. From a thunderstorm to too much humidity or too much in the ammonia room, or you overage it or you underage it.
highly flammable places as well, right? And that's to say, we've got the situations where factories burn, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
there's so many natural elements that can kind of come in.
yeah, and it's
kind of-
amazing it ever gets to you
Yeah.
in the amazing form that it does. That's what I'm still in wonder of it every time I light one. I've never lost that
No.
sort of sense of amazement.
I think we've said it before. Like going to the actual factory and witnessing it all gives you a
Yeah.
complete
Oh, yeah.
different appreciation for the entire thing.
Definitely.
I think before I went, it was quite early on in me getting involved in all this stuff anyway, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm intrigued, blah blah blah. And then I went on that trip and came back, and it was like, there's way more to it. There's all of this stuff you can learn. All of
Blows
this
you
stuff.
away, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of just grasped me then, and it was like, okay, I can see this now. Like this is it. Like
And I find that I never get bored of visiting a factory, which I thought I would have done, because like people would say, once you've seen one, you've seen them all. But it's
so
not like that.
Yeah.
And I find that there's a real energy in cigar factories that's quite difficult to put your finger on, but it's almost like a spiritual thing for me. There's this amazing sense of calm and purpose.
The thing that shocked me as well, which manufacturers and company owners, brand owners will always say, everyone's majorly happy. And you sit there and think, well, work's work. Some people don't necessarily like it, blah, blah, blah. You walk into a rolling room or anything and they've all got massive smiles on their face.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Every single one of them is
There's an
taken care of.
amazing sense in there.
Love
isn't
Because they're smoking all day.
Yeah, I mean, there is a perk.
But they do love it, and you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's another fantastic thing about cigars. It's a product of joy to make and to smoke.
They also get perks though, don't they? I mean, I know at Davidoff they get a lot of like homeschooling and things like that.
Absolutely.
Like English lessons.
Yeah.
They get a lot of support.
There's on-site surgeries.
Yeah.
If you feel rough, there's something wrong with you, you go and see the doctor. Which in a lot of these places they really struggle to do. Their creche is there, so mums can come back to work and earn money for their families. It's a great thing, and yet another great aspect of the industry
Very charitable for that.
is massive social responsibility, and we're talking on the New World side.
Yeah.
They really look after their people, and that's not just lip service. They know them all. They know their families. I think we were speaking earlier about Nick Perdomo. His average worker has been with him for 20 years.
That's insane.
Average.
Yeah.
That's almost unheard of.
It is.
Yeah.
And that tells you something. You don't do a job for that long unless you really like it and you feel worth, you feel valued.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's kind of a great segue. You mentioned Nick Perdomo.
Yeah.
I think he's a massive innovator in the space of cigars. He came in and it's like, I'll do it my way, this will work, blah blah blah. But you've kind of seen it on a surface level with Nick Perdomo, right? You
lived with him.
Lived with him.
Yeah, I've got under the surface with Nick Perdomo. Yeah. So
how was that?
I've written a book for Nick to celebrate his 30 years in the business, and it's his biography.
Right.
So it basically reads like Nick's talking to you. So I had to really get to know him and to be able to do that. And he wrote masses and masses, gave me like 100,000 word document that had all the stuff in it he wanted to get in it. But of course it wasn't in the order that it should be. And maybe some things weren't said as well as they could be. So I then had the job of turning that into something that was a true reflection of his life, but was also something you want to read. So I spent a lot of time with Nick. I went over and stayed with him in his amazing, he lives on an amazing apartment in on Miami Beach.
Right.
What a place.
I'll show you the pictures actually after. It's extraordinary. You can see the sea on one side, the town on the other.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it is absolutely beautiful. And I interviewed all of his family, his sons, daughters, wives, in-laws, his mum, his brother, all his key workers, all the people at the factory, people that he's known for donkey's years, to find out, why he is this force of nature that he is.
Yeah.
And he started his business from his garage in a little tiny house in Miami 30 years ago, and now he employs 5,000 people, makes 100,000 sticks a day, sells in 50 countries, and is worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
It's incredible.
It's just a remarkable story.
Obviously, I mean, I've had the pleasure, we've both had the pleasure of meeting him now, obviously, at the Meet the Makers event.
Great guy.
Yeah, he, as I say, top form from start to finish.
Yeah, he's always on.
Drinks a lot.
Everybody nobody was interrupting him. He always had the time for everyone.
Yeah.
And as you say, massive family man. You see it on social media. He posts about his family and all that stuff, births and things like this.
Hugely important to him.
So I suppose that aspect probably then ties over into the professional side of it, where he wants that family nature to spread across the whole company. And I suppose it's probably a reason as to why it's done so well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. His family came from Cuba after the revolution. His dad arrived in America having been shot 2 weeks earlier by Castro fans.
Right.
He was smuggled out of the country. They managed to get him into the Uruguayan embassy. He was lying on a gurney and they were looking for him to finish him off. And people, the family, were whisking him around down Miramar, where all the embassies are, trying to get somebody to give him safe haven.
Right.
Nobody would touch him with a barge pole. And apparently this ambassador, the Uruguayan ambassador at the time to Cuba, said, drape the flag over him and bring him in. And they wheeled him in and they got him sponsored by a church in America. 2 weeks later, he was in America, still with 2 bullet holes in his gut, and then started working 4 jobs a day.
Yeah, just
to provide for his family.
It's insane.
And that's where Nick gets his... If my dad can do that, I'm never letting this family name down.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from.
That was kind of something that stuck with me from film. It was like, my dad's paved the way. I will now live up to that. I will never let him down, kind of thing.
And one of the reasons he wanted to write the book was he didn't want future generations to just piss it up the wall, and ruin it, what they'd built through this sacrifice, hardship. And he wanted to call the book Don't Fuck It Up.
Right.
And I said, I'm not sure that's the best title, Nick.
That's sure.
Well, I mean, in some ways, it might sell even better. But that was the basis of why he wanted to do it, to say, this is what we had to go through, so don't blow it for my grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
I can only imagine that's a lot of pressure. Obviously, I can't speak for him. He might have felt differently, but if I was in his position, I'd feel so much pressure to perform so well.
He would say that he had a massive opportunity in America, the American dream. He said, I realised early on, if I worked my back wheel out, did things that other people didn't want to do, used my brain, and and always be straightforward, no dodgy dealing, I realised that I could do anything I wanted to do. There was that belief in him. that his dad said, listen, if you want to do something, you give it your best shot. Don't play at it. Do it to the last fibre of your being. You will be a success in whatever you do. And he really believed that and has proved it.
Yeah, I was going to say that kind of embodies him as a person, right? He's just took it and he's absolutely flown with it and taken it to a really, really good spot.
Yeah.
I mean, the cigars that he creates, 2 of which we're enjoying today.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I don't think I've had a bad cigar
he's
from him.
so pernickety on detail. Like everything has got to be perfect.
Yeah.
99% is not good enough. So he, some of the wrappers he ages for, you won't, most people might age it for 5 years. Nick will age it for 10.
Yeah.
Just to be on the safe side. Some people will check their cigars before they get in the box. Nick checks his cigars 19 times before it gets in the box.
Yeah, I read that. That's
19 different
number.
people.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
They draw test a cigar every 20 seconds in the factory or something.
Yeah.
And he was dreaming of one day I'd like to sell 100,000 cigars, to say I'd done it. Now he makes 100,000 cigars every single day.
I was going to say, imagine being able to set a goal and then kind of absolutely just wash it.
Smash it out there.
Absolutely flown.
And he said to me, I didn't realise till really quite recently how big we were because I was so focused on getting it right and perfecting all the little processes. And he's got a little book that he keeps with him. In the middle of the night, he writes down an idea he's had or he draws a picture of something he's going to create to make the process better. And he said, one day I took Arthur, his vice president, took me out and said, right, look at it, not from your eyes, look at it like you're walking into this place for the first time. I walked into the factory, it's this massive factory in Esteli, and there were hundreds of rollers all working with his amazing leaf. And then we went across to the box factory. He makes his own boxes. He makes his own cellophane. He makes his own staples for the boxes. He controls every aspect.
Yeah, a lot of people...
That's quite rare, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of brands will outsource all of that
he
stuff.
owns everything. Vertical integration from the ground up. He put some irrigation into one of the farms and he bought this Israeli irrigation team over at massive expense. And they filter the river water that they use. They filter it 9 times before they use it on the plant.
Just to make sure it's perfect.
It's the best it can possibly be. So,
crazy.
he must be difficult to live with, I'd imagine.
I was going to say, I was going to bring up his wife, Janine. I think.
Lovely.
Obviously, again, we met her at Meet the Makers. Absolutely lovely woman. She's full of some stories as well.
She's great fun.
Yeah. I was
She's very outward going and...
I saw her dancing at the end of the night and everything.
Me and her had a good dance. Yeah. She's lovely, Janine, and she knows that it's all a bit crazy, and she knows what Nick's life. They've known each other since they were kids.
I was going to say she's been there since the beginning, right? Trying to help him from the ground all the way through.
Absolutely, yeah. She had a baby in one arm and was packing cigars in the other when they started, and so she will say, sometimes he goes away, and I sit down and think. Just sit and read a book for a day or two, and because when he's here, he's one of those guys. He's constantly surrounded by people. He always has to be doing. He doesn't sit and watch telly or stuff like that. That's not him. He's a doer. So,
were there any key life lessons that you learned from staying with them?
I got very inspired by that whole story, and I remember sitting in the factory and writing page after page of things that I could do in my life better. And that's another thing that that Nick does. He does inspire people. Yeah. And he says to you, you can do this, you can do whatever you want. And he gives people the freedom to do that. And, he's a terrific example in many ways. So, I very much came away from that thinking, I really need to make more effort with relationships and family, and because ultimately that's
your core.
Yeah, that's the reason for being, isn't it? For most of us, if we're lucky, that we have that. And so, he never accepts that things are great and take your foot off the gas, and every day is a learning day. Every day I can be a better person, I can be a better leader, a better dad. It's a hell of an attitude.
I suppose for you as well, you can take that into your everyday work. I think with your travel and meeting all these new people, and I imagine at some point nerves come with that.
Yeah.
But again, it's that idea of you can do it.
Yeah.
Tuck yourself in, it will go the way it goes, and that's kind of the way.
And also, being outside your comfort zone is
the best place.
Essential. It's not very pleasant.
Yeah.
But
for
it's
growth.
Essential for you to move forward in life.
There's no growth in comfort. That's what they say.
There's no point being fat and happy, Nick would say.
Yeah.
He hates that. He hates that. So yes, I would say, we were talking earlier about presenting or hosting or being in front of an audience. Not something I particularly enjoy. Something I'm quite good at.
I was going to say, you make it look unbelievably nice.
I don't know how that's come because I never had any experience. I just made myself do it.
Do you reckon from the writing side of things, it probably helps? Because you kind of got away with words, make light of situations, blah, blah, blah. Do you imagine like that kind of helps? I
think it does. Because I think you've got a lot of experience to draw on.
Yeah.
So there's always, I can tell you a story about a million things at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a nice thing to fall back on. I'm not going to be short of something to say.
Yeah.
I've learned to talk to and get on with such a massive variety of people over the years. I was a newspaper journalist to start with, so I would do court reporting, sports, cinema, leisure, property, business. I've done all of that stuff. So that gives you a real big canvas to draw from. And I'm good at talking, obviously, but I'm good at getting people to talk. That's a skill in itself. Some people they get nervous that you're there with a pen and paper. They're thinking, shit,
everything I say is recorded.
You need to be able to make them feel at ease and to get inside their heads. And there's a way of doing that I haven't really been taught, but I've learned of when you ask the right question at the right time and then be quiet at the right time is very, very powerful. Often being quiet is the best thing you can do and let them feel that they have to say something. And then what comes out is generally the truth. So that's a great skill. So I know how people's mind works. And also, I think one thing I benefit from is I don't have a big ego.
Right.
I generally don't think much about me. I don't think I'm this big, great writer and everyone should bow down to me. I think, geez, I can't believe that guy has just come up to me and said, I've read your book.
Yeah.
I feel like
almost like too humble almost.
Yeah, I think that's very British, isn't it? We're very modest, probably too much. America, they'd say, I'm a hell of a writer, man. I can do your book.
Yeah.
We don't act like that.
Yeah.
So that is a good thing and a bad thing. But I genuinely don't have any axe to grind. I'm not trying to prove a point or show people how clever I am or how rich I am or what I've got that you don't. I just want to tell stories. It's as simple as that.
It's very inspiring, I have to say. I mean, we were talking about it at the Meet the Makers when you were speaking. We turned to each other and we were saying, he's so good at this.
Because it amazes me to hear that because I don't think of it like that.
So essentially, obviously, we're relatively new. I mean, we've been doing this, about a year and a half or so, the podcast side of things, and interviewing people almost. But we always sit there and think, after the Meet the Makers, it was we can definitely learn from that.
Yeah.
Because as we mentioned off camera a little bit earlier, there was time restraints and all of these things. And it was in my situation, I'd probably be a bit shit, I've got to kind of keep things going, blah, blah, blah. You made light of all of that and kind of had the crowd playing up to it and all of this as well. All the people on the panel felt at ease. Robert, his responses, Steve Sarker's responses, everything just kind of flowed. There was never a moment where it was this feels forced, this feels empty.
Really?
It was always just that sense.
It's fantastic because under the surface and in my brain, I am flapping.
Right.
And I am thinking, shit, I've got a minute and we've hardly touched that subject or whatever.
Yeah.
So nerves still come then?
Definitely.
Even after...
But I think maybe that's part of that is why, if you're a musician or something and you're on stage, yes, if you've been doing it for donkey's years, you might be a bit blasé. But I think you need that edge to get the best out of you. And occasionally, I guess, if you put yourself under pressure, it will go wrong.
Yeah.
I think you have to accept that. But 9 times out of 10, I think you perform if you are put under pressure. If you know your subject and you're not pretending to be something you're not. So a little bit of being under the thumb, I think, brings out the best in you. And that's why, writers typically, we need deadlines because otherwise you just never do it.
Yeah, I think I remember reading a little bit in your book and you was like, if I don't have a deadline, it will just get pushed off. It just kind of happens.
Like we were saying about manana, don't worry about it till it gets here. You can do that forever.
Yeah.
And I learned from magazines and newspapers, working on daily papers sometimes, you needed to have everything done by 5 o'clock that night because the paper was going to print. You can't have an empty paper.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to do that. And whether you think it's ready or not, at some stage you have to push the button, deliver.
Yeah. Whether you sit there and think, not too sure.
And you always think I could have done it better. I could have done it differently. I could have, but at some stage you have to go for
just accept it.
Otherwise, nothing ever gets done.
Yeah.
Now with a book, it's very difficult because it's a long process. It's a big piece of work. You can stretch it on and on and on. So I'm still writing my book. I'm still writing my book. At some stage, you have to make that book a book.
Yeah.
And then when you send it to print, that final file, and they say, right, everybody's signing it off, and you sign it off, and then you think, shit. And of course, there's always something in it, like a typo or something you said, and you think, no, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to accept that as a part of the deal. Otherwise, nothing ever gets done.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you a broad question almost, I suppose, but in terms of your books and deadlines, how long would you say that like the average process would take? Because in my head, I imagine it takes years to write a book.
There's two ways of looking at it. It takes years to make a book.
Right.
And especially like the first one, that was 20 years of experiences distilled into that book. So that had been a long time coming, even when I never knew it was going to be a book.
Right.
Then when you decide to write a book, yes, then okay, you might have to do travel and research and specific things. That, of course, takes time. Then you come back, you think about it for a while, then you write it. The actual writing of it, for me, is in many ways the easy part.
Right.
It happens quite quickly when you're in the right frame of mind and you know what you're going to do. I can write very fast. So if you said to me, how long did you spend writing it? Probably 6 months.
Right. But the actual process...
But the process was years and years and years. So the first one came out in 2019, and then everyone said, when's the next one?
Right.
So then you're faced with, shit, I've got to do it again. And it's like that difficult second album.
Right.
When a new band hits and their album is phenomenal, and everyone goes, that is an amazing album. And then they think, shit, I've got to do it again.
The pressure.
And then, I put everything into that first one, all my life experiences and my angst and pain, and suddenly you've got someone says, here's a piece of paper, write another one. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
To write a hit is one thing. To write loads of hits is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So to do it again is like climbing a mountain. You look up and there's a peak, he's right up there, and you think, how the hell am I going to get there? And the only way to get there is to go that first step and then another step and just keep going.
Well, I'm going to ask the question, will there be another one?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Is it in the works already?
It is, and I can't tell you too much about it at the moment, but it will be announced shortly. But what I can tell you is I've been given a massive opportunity to write the next book. And
That's intriguing.
Yeah, and I will be spending a lot of time in America next year.
Amazing.
Okay.
Is this an exclusive?
Yes.
Amazing.
So the actual details haven't been announced, and so I can't really announce it until they do. But there's something really exciting coming.
That's cool. I mean, as I say, you've already done 2 hits, though. I mean,
And of course, the holy grail for everybody is, can I break America?
Yeah. And it seems to be a very difficult thing for a lot of people to do, right?
It is. It's so hard.
It's so different.
So different, and they are so focused on doing what they do well, and they're making so much money by doing what they do well. To have time to listen to some little guy from England who's got a book he wants to sell. I make cigars, I'm not interested. So the difficulty has been, I've sent thousands of books to America individually, but to actually get distribution and proper sales in America is a really hard thing to do, because every shop is packed to the rafters with stuff, and to even get in the shop to be part of that stuff is really hard, because everybody wants to be in there because that's where you sell your stuff. And they've got thousands of cigar stores in America.
Will you have to change the structure of your writing? Because obviously Americans have got a different kind of personality.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll have to change the way you write, or are you going to stay authentic? I mean, I think the way you've written these 2 books is absolutely phenomenal. But do you think you'll have to change that for the American audience?
I don't think so. I think the attraction of it is because it is what it is. It's very British, and they love that.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, if you would have had to, if you wouldn't have been able to sell any of these books over to America, as you say, you sent 100,000, whatever, to America. Obviously, there's a demand somewhere. For what you're doing.
What you don't realise is, like, I'm a relatively big fish in the UK pond, if you like, say like that. People know me here. In America, you go over there expecting people to know who you are, and nobody's got a clue.
Yeah.
And you think, shit.
It's humbling almost.
And it's the world's biggest cigar market.
Yeah.
So if I can make inroads and start selling my book in American cigar stores, it's an absolute game changer. And yeah, loads of people don't read, and Americans prefer different forms of communication often. But still, even if you get a fraction of those people who are interested in cigars to read your book, it's still a massive opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think people who don't generally read, if they see a cigar book in a shop, and go, do you know what? That looks interesting. I'll read that.
Yeah.
And it is easy to read. It's not something that you have to struggle to get through, or you know, you have to think about a lot, or you have to look things up. You can just take from it what you want, and that's why I think it's such a great vehicle for cigars and for people to just enjoy somebody else's stupid behaviour.
Yeah, and I think everybody loves to travel. Everybody wants to know what's going on around the world.
Yeah.
And your base to your books is you've been to all of these different places.
Yeah.
Experiences, cultures, experiencing things that a lot of people on this planet will never ever see, never ever experience.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you that base. It's like, okay, well, people are going to be interested in that, regardless of whether they're massive cigar smokers.
Exactly.
They still have something that they can take, as you mentioned, which is, again, a massive sort of
The
art.
beauty of that is that you can sort of enjoy it in so many ways, because
Yeah.
you can enjoy the angle of somebody wandering in odd places,
Yeah.
somebody doing some really stupid things in, you know, that are amusing and you didn't have to go through in order to do it. But also, if you are a cigar guy or girl, it's lovely to have cigars featured as a positive thing, because that doesn't happen in any other books.
No. Yeah.
Cigars are not talked about, or if they are, it's in passing. Nobody says this is a cigar factory and this cigar is amazing and this is how it's rolled.
It's almost a prop.
It's not like my love letter to the cigar. Make it a real key part of the book, but not the only reason. So that you read it, you get the enjoyment, and you also get that warm buzz from, this is why I love cigars, because it brings us all together.
So that's what you want people to take away from your book.
Yeah. I think it's very much, you know, yes, enjoy reading interesting stories, you know, that might be of interest to you about unusual places. But really, the secret subconscious message that I'm trying to give them is this is your key to a massive journey that can take you, like it has for me. I never dreamt that I never really went anywhere till I was 30 or something. You know, when I was a kid, I went to Spain when I was about 15. That was my first trip. Never went anywhere. Couldn't afford to. Got a job, working away like we do. Suddenly, through this, I've travelled the universe.
Yeah.
Done incredible things. Met amazing people. Made some of the best friends of my life. All thanks to the cigar. That's what cigars can do for you.
What was that sort of pivotal moment? That moment that clicked in your head and thought, I'm going to do this?
I was made redundant in 2005. I was working for a bank.
Right.
As their head of copywriting. Incredibly boring. And it was, you know, I really didn't like it. I went to work in a huge office with like 2,000 other people every day. And I felt like a sort of worker bee, you know, going into the hive, doing some fairly meaningless shit, going home again and doing it again the next day. And I really didn't enjoy it. And I didn't enjoy being with the same people doing the same thing.
Right.
You know, I got so bored. You know, I need to move about and see new things and have new experiences and meet new people to be inspired. That brings out the best in me, I think. And when I don't get that, I become very sad.
Right.
You know, I feel depressed. My life's boring. What am I doing here? I'm already X years old, and what have I ever done? But when you get out and about, then you suddenly think, yes, this is what I want to do. So let me try and do something that my writing is 100 times better if I have a passion for what I'm writing about. If you said to me, write about that table, I could write about the table, but it would be rubbish.
Right.
If you said to me, write about that cigar, suddenly it would come alive.
Comes through.
Yeah. So I thought, right, I'm going to write about things that I really have a passion for. So I started to write about food and drink and travel. And maybe I'd write something about wildlife. I love the countryside, food and where food comes from and cooking. I love to cook. Whiskey. I started to write about whiskey. Sometimes I'd write some shooting things, countryside stuff. And then I really started getting into the cigars, and I found that I enjoyed that more than anything.
Right.
And the more I learned, I went to a few events in London and met rollers, and then I'd meet a manufacturer, and I think, oh, it's like meeting a rock star, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you meet them, and they go, "Hey, yeah, you know, let's talk." And the next thing you know, you've got Jonathan Drew's number on your phone, and you're texting each other. And I'm like, this is like Bono to me, in my mind, you know.
Yeah.
He's a proper rock star, and now I'm chatting to him, and he says, "Come over, we'll do something." And then you go over, and then off you go.
Yeah.
You're in a world of, and then if you can then turn that, the key that sort of turned the lock really was the book, because not only are you doing that, nobody knows about it, but then you're doing it and you've got something to give to people, and the word spreads. People read it, people like it. Then you get validation, and you think, okay, I could do another one. Then you've got a reason to do it rather than beating your head against the brick wall, you know.
Yeah.
So I suppose your writing started with magazines, newspapers and things like that, with, as you say, crime, anything that sort of came along. When was it? Obviously, after your cigar passion was kind of ignited, but when was it when you was like, okay, cool, this is going to be a book now? Like, when was the turning point for that? I want to...
That's another good story, actually. Good point. I was thinking about it for years.
Right.
But I had that thing in my mind, why would you write a book better than anyone else? You know, people have done it. And I spoke to somebody, very important person in the cigar world, and I mentioned I'm going to do a book, and he rolled his eyes, said, "Another cigar book?
Right.
Why would you do that?" And that killed the project for about 5 years.
Oh, really?
Because I thought...
Just his mention of, like...
And that's a good lesson to learn. Never let people talk you out of things.
Yeah.
I really regret that, because by now I'd have been on book 5 or something.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, he's probably right. You know, what's the point? And then it took me 5 years to get back to the place where I thought, no, you've got to do this. And then we've never looked back.
I was going to say, the success must make you look back on that moment and think, I told you, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
It does.
That
It makes me feel very proud that I did it, you know, despite that.
Yeah.
And when I was going around, I was trying to get people involved for the first book, saying, look, this is what I want to do. I want to write this book. Imagine trying to describe it when there's no book there. I'm going to go around the world, meet people, talk about cigars in a travel-y way. It's going to be a great book. It's going to promote your brand subconsciously. It's not advertising, it's not marketing, but people will have it on their shelves, and when they open the section that says a lever, they will read about you and your cigars, and that will be there forever.
Yeah.
It's not like pay for an advert in a magazine and next month it's gone.
I was going to say, but it makes it way more memorable having the story attached to the brand.
And it's there forever.
Cigar, as you say, yeah.
But people just couldn't understand what I was talking about. So nobody, you know, is like, again, banging your head against a brick wall. So I still went ahead and did it without that backing, used my own money, used my own time. And then when the book came out, you could see people starting to realise, oh, okay, that's what he's talking about. Second book, they start coming and saying, actually, yeah, I'd love to have a chapter. Can we talk about how we get involved? And then this next one, you know, people are coming to me.
Yeah, so same sort of thing. We then had an agency reach out to us, asking for somebody else to go, and I got the email, and I was like, wow.
They're
like,
coming to
people now
us.
want us.
Yeah.
Rather than the other way around.
Isn't it strange how things work?
It's very odd feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's validation, isn't it? And humans need validation to be at their best. You know, you need to feel like you're doing something worthwhile. Otherwise, you feel worthless.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes I feel like at the start of things like this, big projects, you almost feel like you're going through imposter syndrome.
Totally. I always feel that, even to this day. I still think I'm just a little guy having a great life at someone else's expense.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Do you ever feel like that all sort of
I don't think so, and I kind of think it's quite a good thing, really. Because otherwise, if you start believing your own press, you see what happens to
grounded,
people.
Right?
Yeah.
And as you say, you then don't get the ego. You don't.
No, and I think people really love the fact that when they see you a year after not seeing you, you're exactly the same.
Yeah.
And you know, you don't pretend you don't know someone now that you're famous or whatever. You know, that means nothing to me.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. I think that's something. even being noticed and stuff like that. Like you probably get noticed all the time.
Well, that's a funny thing. Like my kids have grown up with me saying, I'm writing this book, or blah, I'm cigar this. They're just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I went to Dortmund this time, and I swear to you, I couldn't go for a pee because every time I walked to the loo, people stopped me.
Yeah.
It's such a lovely thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it does make you feel good. Of course, there is that bit of ego that's lovely. People go, who's he? And they're this guy, you're the guy off the videos, or you're the guy who wrote the book. And so I go home and I tell my girls, I just kept getting stopped. Yeah, of course you did, yeah.
I said, do they believe you?
They don't believe it. But I had a brilliant experience. We were in the Caribbean and I managed to get the girls with me. So once in a while I can wangle things together and take the family out.
Right.
And we went to stay in St. Kitts, which is absolutely beautiful. And I met a guy who liked his cigars and he said, I know you. And we got chatting. And there was a 2020 cricket match coming up in St. Kitts. And I love cricket. I've always wanted to watch cricket in the Caribbean because it looks just brilliant. Mm-hmm. And it was a day-night match. And he goes, I've got VIP tickets. Why don't you all come? Told the girls, they got no interest in cricket, but there was a free bar, so yeah.
They were happy.
So suddenly we were fed beautiful food. Rum and cokes were coming out. We had these beautiful seats with the teams. They came and sat down, and I sat next to this guy, and as I sat down, as you do, I said, hello, my name's Nick Hammond, and he looked at me, and he said, I know you. You were the bloke who wrote Around the World in 80 Cigars. And my two girls were sitting there like, and I said, I told you. Your dad's not such an idiot.
That must feel great.
Yeah, it's lovely. And they, and it's nice that they do sort of take the mickey because that brings you back down to earth. It's not like I'm, bloody movie star or something.
I imagine you go home and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm now back to making
take the dog out and shut up.
Yeah. The contrast must be great though, as you say.
And the other beauty of that world that I've created is that I can enjoy things that millionaires get to enjoy.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to do that on my own volition. But because of this, thing, and people are so generous and they want to be in books or they just want to show you a good time. And you know what cigars are like. There's a lot of really wealthy, interesting people involved in it. You suddenly find yourself, like the events and things we go to, and we sit there and drink fine champagne and smoke cigars. We could never afford to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That was the one thing that we took away. As soon as we went to meet the makers, it was like, there is no way this is ever going to happen.
No.
And then all of a sudden, it's like we're up in Edinburgh in a castle.
Yeah.
With
bagpipes and flamethrowers. And
everything is just there.
Yeah.
You've got all the brand people that effectively are celebrities and you're kind of just like rubbing shoulders with them. And it's like...
And we ate and drank and smoked like we were millionaires.
Yeah.
And I just think that's amazing. We have the opportunity to do these things when, I have alter ego who is at home being a dad in a modest house with not much money.
Going home, cleaning up, hoovering.
All the things. Yeah.
Clean toilet.
Yeah.
That makes it more beautiful because every one time you do it, you really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's not, you never take that for granted, which if you did it every day, you probably would. But imagine what I feel like now, going to Esteli and walking down that street with all the factories in it and going in and knowing the people that are in there and the makers, and they invite you back to their house to have dinner with them and you meet their families, and it's phenomenal.
That's why I always say this industry is like a big family.
It is.
It's a great industry to
be
with.
Yeah. No matter your age or
I've never known anything like it.
No.
Which is why I was so drawn to it.
Mm.
It's such a warm place that if you're in and you do a good job and you're straightforward and do what you say you're going to do and don't be a tit, and then you're in. Mm-hmm. And once you're in, everybody looks after each other.
Yeah, that's very true. Moving on though, obviously you've got a Patreon.
Yes.
So what do you provide on that? I mean, it's kind of like a subscription.
So that was, exactly that. So that was a sort of thinking, look, when I'm not selling books, going around the world doing something for a book or for an article, I still want to have people with me, and I still need income.
Right.
The holy grail is residual income, as they like to call it. So money coming in when you're not actually physically digging a hole or painting a window or something like that. So the books are that good but that's a slow burner. Every time I sell a book, a few quid goes in my pocket, but you're never going to make yourself rich at least not for a long time.
Yeah.
So I thought, people love what I do. They love the stories. They always saying, look, I need another book. I've read it 3 times. I want another one. You can't do it quick enough to satisfy the demand. And I thought, well, there is one way that people could come with me on my adventures immediately through video, phone, picture and audio.
Yeah.
Is that I'll be sitting in an airport in Managua and say, do an audio thing and say, it's Nick Hammond here, it's 32 degrees, I'm knackered, I was at an event last night, it went really well, but I'm tired, I want to go home, but here's some pictures of the tobacco plantation I was in yesterday. Or write an article about something that I think is pertinent, that maybe would not get printed elsewhere, and that can be delivered to you for a subscription fee. So I've started it, I'm literally just like sticking my toe in the water. And I've said, okay, it's £5 a month. £5 a month, you get access to all the stuff I'm up to when I'm on the road, see what I'm doing, be with me, like you are with the book, but you are physically with me, and you know about it before anyone else does. That's the thinking behind it.
The exclusivity as well.
Yeah, and people want to be part of things, don't they? They want to feel part of a community. So once I get enough members, suddenly they're pleased because they've got access to this stuff that the rest of the cigar world does not have access to. That makes them feel good. And maybe that will grow, and maybe it will become, do you know what, I haven't got time to do it. But I thought it's one thing I haven't tried outside the comfort zone. Another thing I did outside the comfort zone was crowdfund the second book.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Charity, didn't you?
Yeah,
Well,
did a lot of fundraising for Nicaraguan schools.
Yeah.
But also to, give me some cash so that I could actually publish that book myself, not publish it with a traditional publisher, because they take all the profit out of it.
Yeah.
You do all the work, you do all the marketing, you write the book, effectively I go around selling the book. I know the cigar world better than they do. And then every time they sell one, they take 50% of the...
Yeah.
And then you think, this is crazy. So I need some money to publish it myself, so that when I sell a book, I know at least that few pounds are going in my pocket, not someone else's.
Yeah.
And I'd never done anything like that before.
The industry helped you raise some money.
Yes.
Right. So how did that kind of come about? Who did you kind of get involved in?
Yeah, so that was something I'd never done, didn't know how to do, so I had a massive learning curve. I saw how it could be successful. I also saw how so many people think they can do it and it dies on its arse. So I didn't want to go out there and ask for money and it to fall flat, because then that's a massive downer. And once you put a total up there, people know what you're trying to raise. They can see you getting it. So that was a big, brave thing to do, because it could have gone badly wrong, and I could have not reached the total, and I'd have looked a bit stupid. But thankfully, I did. I put it out to everybody and anybody. Reached out to the makers. People who had bought the first book were contacted, and all that stuff. And we raised a lot of money in the end, and a big part of what I do with both books is to raise a bit of money for good causes as well, which is important to me, especially being in the industry where we talked about it earlier, the social responsibility side. These countries that make cigars are generally very poor countries on the whole, so they don't have masses of things like we do, and some of them have very, very little. So I wanted to help those people, particularly those that are around the cigar factories and the towns. And there are a couple of really lovely schools that do a fantastic job in helping these kids stay in education just that little bit longer, which means so much difference to their life chances.
Yeah.
If they stay in school another year, their opportunities go through the roof.
Yeah.
So what we do is help provide scholarships for these kids so they can go to school, they get their uniform, they get their food, they get looked after by people who are genuinely trying to help them, and they stay in school longer than they would have done. So now they're not on the streets at night, they're not underage pregnancies, they're not getting in gangs, and they come out of there with their qualification, they can get a job, and then suddenly they think, shit, I could go and move anywhere in the world and do this. And it's a massive thing, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
Cool.
And it's one of the proudest things I have about the whole
congratulations.
project.
I think you've done a fantastic job, and everyone's really proud of you.
Thank you
for what you've done.
Appreciate it.
Definitely. Congratulations on obviously raising all the money and all of that stuff. I think it's massively appreciated by the guys over there. I am sure. I think you mentioned your Patreon. Where can people find that? How do people find that? How do people get involved?
Good question. So you can order books from me. I'll sign them and send them to you. There's audio books on my website, www.nick-hammond.com. If you want to search the Patreon, I think you can just type into Google Nick Hammond Patreon and you'll find the page. Any problems, you can email me. All my stuff is up on there. And I'm always open to, contact me, WhatsApp me. People are always asking me questions or saying hello. And I love that interaction. So I'd love to hear from you guys.
Of course. Well, as you say, be sure to check that out, guys, at home. And as I say, congratulations on all of the wonderful things that you have done.
Thank you.
I think one thing we've refused to mention so far, we've been lost in conversation.
Exactly,
time, but the cigars that we are sampling today.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first, Lewis.
Sure.
Obviously, the first one in the subscription box.
Yep. So that is the Arturo Fuente Don Carlos number 3. This is beautiful.
Enjoying
It's
it?
got a really natural sweetness to it. It's so lovely. This has an African Cameroon wrapper, which I love the African Cameroon tobacco. So beautiful, with a Dominican binder and filler. So, but yes, phenomenal. And the second stick in the subscription.
Yeah, so the second cigar that you will get in your subscription this month is the Perdomo 20th Anniversary Sun-Grown, or SG Robusto. So this one comes in 5 inches long with a ring gauge at 50. It's a Nicaraguan Puro with a Nicaraguan SG wrapper on that. Beautiful cigar, really enjoyable. The one that you're sampling today?
Yeah, this is the 10th Anniversary Maduro.
Yeah.
It's got some balls.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a classic Nicaraguan cigar. Pepper and strength. And,
It's a wonderful cigar.
yeah, it
Really
gives you a
enjoy
good
it.
punch on the nose.
Just remember, though, obviously, the two that we are sampling today, myself and Lewis, will be the ones that you receive. You will not get the 10th anniversary in the box. But if you haven't sampled it already, be sure to pick one up because they are phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that kind of wraps everything up. I think.
Thank you, guys.
Not really
Absolute
much
pleasure.
else.
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
No.
likewise.
As I say, I think we briefly mentioned a minute ago, we'll definitely have to book in another episode with you, get another one of these
Anytime.
booked in. I think we could sit here and talk for hours and hours on end. But obviously, we'll save that for
All
another
good
day.
things come to an end.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, as always, guys, thanks so much for watching and supporting us. As always, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Spotify as well. And until next time, stay safe and happy herping. Peace.